Day 2 Rosh Hashanah. This is going to be a little bit more of an abridged version of what we had yesterday. So I invite everybody to put away their cell phones, make sure their vapes are nowhere to be found in the sanctuary. There's machzorim, and we'll have some, if you want to follow along, and then everything is up on the screen as well, as we welcome in this new year. All right, so I invite everybody to be here now for the next, I don't know, less than 3 hours. We'll be done before noon, okay? And we'll do some learning and some pouring out of our heart and soul. So we're going to start off with Matovu on page 78.
Matovu Halecha Yaakov, Matovu Halecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha, 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 Yisrael. Oh, how lovely are your tents, O Jacob, your dwellings, Yisrael, your abundant kindness lets me know that all will soon be well. Matovu Halecha Yaakov, Matovu Halecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha, 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 Yisrael. Let me be humble and quiet with all the love that I carry. I bow down to you with reverence in this sanctuary. Matovu Halecha Yaakov, Matovu Halecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha, 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 Yisrael. Oh God, please accept my prayer and answer me with kindness. Show me your sweet and saving truth. Remove me from my blindness. Matovu Halecha Yaakov, Matovu Halecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha, 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 Yisrael.
As we set the stage for saying how, oh, Rabbi Jade. How's your dad? Yeah? Okay. You had surgery? You want to share? So this is a wonderful introduction to being grateful for our bodies.
Yes. And science. Thank you all so much for your support and love yesterday. There really wasn't anything I can do yesterday except pray. And so to have this community to pray with was, I'm gonna cry. It was so special. So, yeah, yesterday my dad had quadruple bypass surgery, and he made it. Um, and what I do want to share is that my dad and I haven't had a solid relationship since I was 16, and it was really challenging to get that call because he's hurt me a lot in my life. But the thing is, through sobriety and Al-Anon and ACA and all of that, I was able to show up with love and kindness. So I'm very, very thankful. But to be thankful for our bodies is no easy feat sometimes, but I think today we can be especially thankful. So thank you for all your love.
Okay, so prayer for gratitude of our body, Asher Yatzar, is on 82.
My ears hear, my heart beats. Asher, Asher, Asher Yatzar. My blood flows, my veins fill. I can run or be still. Asher, Asher, Asher Yatzar. Because you created me and made me whole, there is a perfect temple to house my soul. I sleep till I rise. If tears well up, I can cry. Asher, Asher, Asher Yatzar. My arms can embrace, my eyes can read your face. Asher, Asher, Asher Yatzar. Because you created me and made me whole, there is a sanctuary to house my soul. My lungs fill, my mouth speaks, my ears hear, my heart beats. Asher, Asher, Asher Yatzar. Asher, Asher, Asher Yatzar. Asher, Asher, Asher Yatzar.
I just realized that Laura's in the back singing as well. So it's like the body is up here, but the soul is still present. And that's what I as we introduce this prayer, Eloheinu Shama, right? I want you to think for a second. Try this on, right? How do you know you have a soul? Imagine that all you are is pure body. For 1 second. Can you do that? What would your life be if you were just fully physical and there's nothing else? Can you try that on? How many of you like that? How many of you feel weird and I'm just like a physical, yeah. No, right? There's something unique about all of us. There's something, whether you want to call it consciousness, whether you want to call it a soul, a being, whatever it is, there is something that makes us who we are, gives us meaning, connects us with one another, and the idea that our one of the mystical teachings is that Kol Yisrael aruvim ze lazeh, right? That each one of us of Israel is mixed up with with each other. And Chaim Vital, one of the great early Kabbalists, says our souls are literally bound together. That we have a spark of each person's soul, and kind of like stardust, we are wrapped and formed together. So when we feel somebody else hurting, our souls is part of us is hurting. And so as we think about Eloheinu Shama, I just want you to think how much more you are than just your body.
Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi Tehorehi, Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi Tehorehi, Taberata, Etayatarta, Etanafata bi Viata Meshamra Bikibi Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi Tehorehi. Taberata, Etayatarta, Etanafata bi Viata Meshamra Bikibi Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi Tehorehi.
Cantor, I think they're more awake than you are. We're having to drink your energy drink this morning. In the middle of the song, he's pounding a Red Bull over here,
manifest
guys.
this. My team had this ready for me when I came in.
I
so
love it, right? Okay, so this is part of
It
the
was
early...
something that the universe gifted.
So this is part of the morning blessings. We wake up a little groggy and tired, and you know, you guys are bringing the energy, but we're going to kind of turn it up a little bit more. So we're going to invite everybody to rise as we continue our morning blessings of gratitude on page 84.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, for bestowing the power to distinguish between day and night. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu creating us in your image. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, for giving us freedom. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, for making us Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, for giving us the capacity to see. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, for clothing the naked. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, for releasing the oppressed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, for raising up those who are bowed down. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, for sustaining the universe. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, for providing for our daily needs. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, for giving us guidance for life's path. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, for endowing our people with courage. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, for crowning our people with glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, for giving strength to those who are weary.
Man, you can have a seat. I want to invite up Dave S. to give our first kavanah, first little drosh on Hamelech, higher power. We're on page 135, by the way.
I'm Mayor Dave, and a grateful member of this community. I've always felt powerless and that my life wasn't manageable since birth. I always believed in a God to my own misunderstanding. I have always appreciated what God has created, from the elements of earth, which are entwined in my body, to a George Gershwin melody in Rhapsody in Blue. I've relapsed for over 34 years because I struggle with turning over my will to a higher power and acceptance and surrendering. I am now in the process of tapping into this source. I've been trying to live daily by living the 12 principles of Alcoholics Anonymous: honesty, hope, faith, courage, integrity, willingness, humility, brotherly love, justice, perseverance, spirituality, and service. My prayer before slumber and upon awakening is a simple one. Thank you. I love you. I would like to conclude with a few words from my dear mother that passed away 14 years ago. What you are is God's gift to you. What you become is your gift to God.
Beautiful. Thank you, Dave. Mayor Dave. I understand. All right, Hamelech, the king, we're doing on page 134 and 45.
Hamelech al kiseram venisam al kiseram venisam al kiseram venisam shohinad marom begadosh shemo vechatov ranenu tzadikim badonai la yesharim navatehila befi yesharim titalal uvidivre tzadikim titbarach uvishon chasidim titkadash uvekerev keroshim uvekerev keroshim titalal.
So the imagery that we're hoping to express in the liturgy is what we just said. The king is sitting on his throne of glory, and we are all God's loyal subjects, right? And so just as one would enter the palace and meet the king and would bow, that's what we're inviting to do in the Baruch, okay? Every time we do this Baruch, it's imagining God as king, and here we are surrendering to a higher will, to a higher power. So I want to invite everybody to rise for the Baruch on page 138.
Baruch et Adonai Amevorach Baruch Adonai Amevorach Amevorach Leolam Vaed Amevorach Amevorach Leolam Vaed Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Leolam Vaed.
You can have a seat. Just a special prayer on Rosh Hashanah. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Yotzer Or Uvore Choshech Oser Shalom Uvore Hakol Or Olam Be'otzer Chaim Orot Me'ofel Amar V'yehi. The light of the world is found in the source of light. God spoke, and out of darkness there came light. We're going to continue with the Shema and Ve'ahavta on pages 154.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad
Baruch Shem Kavod
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוקבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
Okay. Wow, we're way ahead of schedule. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do some learning. Rabbi Jay, do you want to help me figure out how we're doing this? Where's Sarah, too? Okay, we're going to do 2 30-minute breakout lessons, right? How are we doing it? We're going to... So I'll do one all together, and then we're going to have intern Marty, right? Is she here? He here? Marty? Marty here? Marty is not here. Okay. And then, and is Chaplain Adam here? Any minute. Okay. So, this is, okay, great. Yeah, that's extra. So, all right, let me do a little, here, hold on. Yeah. Okay, y'all ready? So, do I want to have the microphone?
Wait, let me explain.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to learn with Rabbi Joseph for about 30 minutes, and then we'll have options of learning opportunities for the next half hour. And while Rabbi Joseph is teaching, I will figure that out, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Hold it until I say, because I want to introduce it. Once, what I've learned as a teacher is once you give somebody paper, they don't actually pay attention to what you're saying anymore. They just look at the sheet. So I just want to introduce my teaching. We're going to talk about the shofar, but I want to introduce it with a little bit of a story. There's a question in the Talmud, why on Rosh Hashanah we don't recite the Hallel prayer. Okay, if you guys know what the Hallel prayer is, on every holiday, we sing praises to God. It's a very joyous prayer, but for some reason on Rosh Hashanah, it's negated. You would think the first day of the year, it's a festival, it's one of the holiest days, the high holidays. Why aren't we singing God's praises? And the reason the rabbis give is that the image, again, is thinking of God as king, but also God as judge. Today is the day of judgment. If we were singing God's praises, we might somehow undo God's potential strict judgment on us. Meaning our words, our prayers, our ability to sing God's love could somehow bias God and we'd get off more compassionately. So God has to almost negate this prayer of Hallel in order to be in righteous judgment of us for the year, which is pretty incredible when you think about it, that we have this power. Our prayers actually can influence the decree of our fate. So if that's a tool that we have but we can't use today, what are the other things that we can do? Right? What are the other potential keys that unlock God's compassion? And so that's what I want to talk about with the shofar. So now, where's the papers? Let's spread those out if we can. Sorry, I should have told you it was going to be a quick beginning, introduction. What was your name, by the way? Simon. Thank you, Simon and Sarah, for passing these out. Okay, I recognize that some of what is going to be on the source sheet is like potentially higher level Talmudic learning, and it is pretty awesome that one of my Talmud teachers, Rabbi Pat Fenton, is in the room today, right over here. So that both gives me like joy and a little trepidation, like, oh my gosh, is Rabbi Fenton going to judge how well I teach Talmud? But it's pretty exciting. So as Simon and Sarah are passing out the sheets, I'm gonna talk this through. So if you don't understand, I promise by the end it will come together. Okay? So stay with me, and if you don't understand, it's okay, ask questions, and I will do my best to not explain them. All right. How many people don't have it yet? Okay. Can we get some more help to pass these out? There's a couple here too. All right, I'm going to get started as these are passed around, and I'll introduce it. And again, if you're lost, don't worry. That's part of being in the sea of Talmud and rabbinic thinking. It's not always the most logical, but we'll have some fun with it. Okay, the rabbis say in a Mishnah, all right, a teaching in early, let's say 2,000 years ago, rabbinic teaching. All shofarot, kol ha-shofarot kasherin. All shofars are kosher except for the horn of a cow. Because the horn of a cow is not a shofar, it is called a Karen. Okay? You got that? And right? A shofar is all you can use every kind of horn except that of a cow. Well, right, of a horn, okay? And Rabbi Yossi says, wait a second. You're saying, okay, aren't all shofar horns? They're all Karen, as it said, and here's the proof text from Joshua. When they sounded, and it came to pass that they sounded a long blast with the horn, a Karen, of a ram, a yovel, okay? So here's some rabbinic logic. How does Rabbi Yossi counter the statement of the Mishnah, saying, wait a second, all shofarot are horns. And here's a proof text from Joshua, as they are, as one use of the shofar was, when they conquered the walls, the city of Jericho, for 7 days, for a whole week, 7 priests circled the walls of Jericho, and with 7 shofarot, right when the priest gave a call, they would scream and blow the shofar, and that's how the walls came crumbling down of the walls of Jericho. So here's a shofar used in military conquests to completely shatter walls of a city that they had to conquer, right? Instead of using weapons of war, here is the weapon of a shofar to crumble the walls, potentially, of not only a city, but our hearts as well, okay? So, step 1, a shofar is a Karen, but we're going to see step 2, here comes the Talmud, saying, well, wait a second. Rabbi Yossi has a point. If we can use all shofar, all horns except a cow, wait a second. Rabbi Yossi is saying a convincing argument. The Gemara explains that the rabbis counter Rabbi Yossi's argument as follows. Yes, all shofarot are called shofar, but they are also called a Karen, a horn. However, that of a cow is also called a Karen, but it is not called a shofar. Okay? And here's the proof text, and we'll get to it. We'll explain that a little bit. So part 1 was all shofars are horns, are Karens. Part 2 is a Karen, a horn, is not necessarily a shofar. Got it? Got the logic? Okay. Why is this even important? Okay, and the proof text, we'll skip over that. It's basically talking about the blessing for Joseph at the end of Moses' life, where the difference between an ox and a bull comes in. Okay, an ox is basically a bull. What's the difference between an ox and a bull? There are parts of its body that is cut off. All right? And an ox is trained, is domesticated to do labor. Okay? So, different imagery we're thinking of right now, but here's, right? So, the what I want to leave you with is, okay, all shofarot are horns, but all horns are not shofarot, okay? There is a difference here that for some reason, even though an ox and a cow and a bull are really the same animal, just have different parts, okay? That of a cow has a special, different category. But I don't know about you, I'm still not convinced. I don't have a good reason, right? What's the reason still, right? Anybody with me on that? Anybody have questions right now? You sure? It's okay if it's a little confusing. Trust me, it'll all come together. Yeah. Yeah. Really big one. Right. Are you saying, does size matter? What do you guys think? Does size? Yeah. I'm going to. Say more. How would we process it more figuratively, metaphorically, instead of literally? I mean, I think from my understanding what an ox and a bull are, it's the same thing, but the ox is castrated and domesticated to do, like, you put a thing on its back and it plows the field, where a bull has different functions, okay? Like impregnating all the cows. Good, okay? Now, going back to the question, does size matter? For the sake of the shofar, I'll say, no, it doesn't matter. The mitzvah really is hearing the sound of it, and just depending on, I can't believe I'm going to say this, how well you blow the shofar and how big of a blast comes out is really what you're looking for, okay? Now, only at Beit Shuva. I swear, if I did this with my high school students, I don't think they'd be able to handle it. But here we are. It's a new year. It's a new dawn, and I'm feeling good. Okay. Yes. Yes, so the size of the shofar really just does emit a different sound. But again, some are some are easier to blow than others. So, and when it comes here, so now that we're on the sounds of the shofar, Rabbi Nachman of Breslov says, right, he has this really mystical teaching that when on Rosh Hashanah 100 shofar blasts are sounded, there creates this bridge between earth and heaven. And that these mystical sounds of the shofar are really, they like only are understood in heaven and create this connection that we don't really fully understand. Okay? Similar to the walls of Jericho come crashing down. We don't really understand how that might be, but here it is, our tradition, giving us a little extra power on Rosh Hashanah of how we can be judged, how we can be written and inscribed in the book of life, and a shofar is the tool. Okay? How are we doing on time? Good. All right, so turn the page. Here's part 3. The rabbis are going to again argue with this idea of, wait a second, shofar, Karen, cow, bull, ox, what is really a shofar? And here's Rabbi Yossi. If Rabbi Yossi was here, right? Rabbi Yossi was, years ago, he made this statement. What if Rabbi Yossi was in the room? How would he argue? He would say as follows. He would say to you, the horns of a cow are also called a shofar. Wait a second, now I'm really confused, right? As it is written, and it shall please the Lord better than a ox bull, shor par, that has horns and hooves. Okay, the proof text here from Psalm 69, right? And the wording here, as the rabbis continue, the wording is strange. If it is an ox, a shor, why is it also called a bull, a par? Going back to, I think, your statement, right? And if it's called a bull, a par, why is it also called an ox, a shor? Rather, the meaning of it is shor par equals shofar. That's where we get the name of shofar. It's not just a ram's horn. It is this play on words of ox bull, shor par, okay? Which I didn't know until I read this. I always thought shofar, ram's horn. But here it is, again, the horn of a male cow. But why are we still not getting to use the horn of a cow? It's still not resolved. I got this beautiful connection that the rabbis make of where we get the name shofar, shorpar, ox bull. But why can't we still use it on Rosh Hashanah or use it for blowing the shofar? Okay, and here's the conclusion. You ready? You with me? Okay. Ula said, last one, part 4. Ula said, this is the reasoning of the rabbis in accordance with the opinion of Rav Chizda. As Rav Chizda taught, why does the high priest not enter the Holy of Holies, the innermost sanctum, with garments of gold to perform the service on Yom Kippur? Okay? The high priest on the holiest day of the year would put on special clothing to enter the Holy of Holies, to say these prayers of forgiveness. But why is there no gold? Because of this concept. Lefi she'ein kategor na'aseh sanagor. Because the prosecutor cannot become the advocate. Okay? Think about that for a second. If the priest can't enter the Holy of Holies to ask for forgiveness, wearing gold, and the prosecutor cannot become the advocate, why then would a cow not be allowed to be used for a shofar? Ding, 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 ding. Okay, remember your name again? Harmon. All right, Harmon nailed it first shot. Really impressive, okay? Here's the reason. The reason is, if we're about to go and be in front of God and ask for forgiveness, right? Not only can we not sing God's praises to potentially influence him in a certain way, or her, but we don't want to show up with some imagery of our past that could evoke our worst possible transgression. Namely, for the Israelites, the sin of the golden calf. Right as the Israelites come out of slavery, Moses is up on the mountain for 40 days, and the people run wild. They can't handle a lack of leadership. There is a void, and they create this golden cow and say, this is the God of our ancestors. This is the God that brought us out of Egypt. This physical thing that we just created overnight is our higher power, is greater. And so we can't potentially evoke any, or we don't want to evoke anything that reminds the judge of what we might have done in the past. Yeah. It reminds you of devotion from? Beautiful. And in fact, if we were doing a Torah study today, that's the Torah reading that we would do day 2 of Rosh Hashanah. The story of Abraham about to sacrifice his son Isaac. In the last moment when Abraham has the knife up and is about to strike, an angel appears and there is a ram caught in the thicket. And so we use that imagery of a ram as the sacrifice too, instead of, unfortunately, almost Isaac being sacrificed, right? So that imagery of a ram has a different connotation that, again, is supposed to encounter our faith, our idea of loyalty, devotion, service to God, to go almost to the extreme. And thank God we didn't go all the way through it. Yeah. A sheep have horns? Sheep have horns? I don't know. Again, I wish I was a farmer in this regard. Like, I'm a city boy that doesn't fully understand all the nuances of animal life. We can definitely use a ram. We can definitely use that of an ibex. Okay? Yes. Yes, you can, except for that of a cow. Because we don't want to evoke any of God's wrath on the day of judgment. We don't want to use any tool that could potentially sway God to remember our transgressions versus our good deeds. Correct. Yes. Even though that's where it gets its name. That's a cow. That's the whole question. Correct. Baby cow.
Right, but what gender was that cow?
Good question.
That's what I'm saying.
There's heifer, which is a female cow as well. My point being, okay, and I'll give an example, and I think I'd love to open this up for conversation too, right? Here's my son. My son is 8 years old. We've been trying to get him to be more involved in reading, okay? So his grandparents got him a Kindle, a wonderful Kindle for him to read, and we can download books and comics and everything. And my son, who takes after his dad, what does he do instead of reading? He finds a way to play video games, okay? Minecraft is his thing right now. He's just like, instead of reading, he goes and plays video games. Now, if my son came to me and he's like, Dad, I really want to do a better job reading this year. I really promise I'm going to do such a better job reading, but he's holding his Kindle in his hand as he approaches me. Am I going to really believe him versus if he's coming with an actual book in his hand to advocate for himself, right? The thing that is our prosecutor, right? The golden calf that potentially brought us our demise in the desert can't be the tool of redemption, right? And for any of you who have spent time going to court and actually being in front of a judge, right? What do you dress? What do you put on? Right? You put on your finest. You don't try to come up with any kind of remnants of what you might have done, right? So this is where I want us to, this is the question really I want to leave us with, and as we can chat about this for the next 5 minutes or so, right? What are the things in our life? What are the symbols? What are the potential imagery of our transgressions that we need to put away, that we need to take away from this year, put them aside, and bring out a different imagery that we are presenting ourselves. And maybe it's not, and I'll just leave it there, right? What's the imagery we're putting aside and recreating this year? What's your name? Hi, Kate. Exactly, right? If you're dressed up in your, wearing gang clothes, right? Or paraphernalia, right? Versus coming in a suit and tie, you're going to evoke different kind of imagery from the person who's there to judge. Yeah, tell me your name again. Michael. Thank you, Katie. Oh, perfect example. I wonder what the sentence was, right? Does it show remorse? No, it shows I can get away with this. I have no problem doing what I did, and screw you, judge, right? I'm going to wear, what a great example. All right? I'm going to wear the thing that I stole in front of you. Okay? Anybody else? Yeah, please.
Hashem, unlike the judge who saw the jersey, in my mind, can see through whether you're wearing your finery
Beautiful.
or whether you use the cow. So it's not on Hashem.
Great. All right, you bring a good, remind me your name again?
Stephen Mandel.
Stephen, right? God is all-knowing. God is the true judge. God can see inside of ourselves and see our true intentions according to our theology, right? This isn't for God. It's for me. It's for you. It's for all of us, right? It's to remind ourselves of what we did and what we're putting aside, right? So that we're potentially not compromised. And I think there's, right, this idea, fake it till you make it, right? Anybody heard of that? All right? Fake it till you become it, I rather say. There's sometimes, even if we don't think we have that sense of majesty or dignity or capability, there is something about trying on new clothes that might not fit and growing into them, right? There is something brave about letting go of your past and unlearning the past so that you can, and all of us, can become the version of ourselves we were meant to be. Yeah. It really reminds you of broken recovery? Growth and recovery. How so? Amen, right? I'm glad you were able to get that, right? And I'll say one of my teachers, Reb Mimi, I asked her one time, like very first year of rabbinical school, that's what she said to us. I was like, what do you need from us, the students that are gathered around you? And she said, I need you to be brave. I need you to be bold. I need you to try on new clothes that don't fit and grow into them. Because if all of us are stuck in what we just know or what is, but we don't challenge ourselves to grow ever so slightly, then what's the point? We're going to do the same shit every day, right? What's the point of this new year is all to invite us into our becoming, into what we can be, into what we know we've always been able to, but it's been too damn hard sometimes. And that's where this community, that's where these symbols, that's where all these rituals potentially unlock that part of us that is stuck, right? And ideally, the sounds of the shofar are connecting heaven and earth, are creating a bridge from your heart, right, to those around you, to God up above, and are literally crumbling the walls of our heart that keep us stuck and keep us fixed and open up a new potential, a new life for 5785. So I hope for all of us, right, when we hear the sound of the shofar later, but even beyond that, that we're putting aside parts of our past that no longer serve us, right? That's time of old. We did it. It happened. How long am I going to hold that? How long am I going to hold that sin and guilt upon my head? It's time to let it go. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, God has already forgiven us. Can we forgive ourselves? Can we do the acts that need to be done to forgive one another? That's still undetermined. But God has already forgiven us. We go through the process, like you said, right? It's for us. It's really for us and what we're going to do about it. Shana Tova. Oh, Chaplain Adam. Hey, bud.
Oh, big hug.
Likewise. And there's Marty.
Marty.
Okay, how...
I think I'll teach and then Marty will teach.
Oh, you're going to...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we'll keep it.
Do it shorter?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, so we have the pleasure and privilege of learning with Chaplain Adam, and then Marty afterwards, and then Marty.
All right. One more hug. All right. Hi, everyone. Good morning. All right. So, with where Rabbi Joseph has left us, right, of being able to recognize how familiar you are with being stuck and how much the opportunity is to get unstuck, we know that faith is such a key component, right? Is such a pivotal aspect of being able to get unstuck. However, we want to talk about stuck. Okay, so that brings us to the Torah, what the part of the Torah reading is on the second day of Rosh Hashanah. Anybody know what it is? Yeah, thank you, Kathy. I got to go too. Right, the Akedah, otherwise known as the binding of Isaac. All right, so I wanted to take a look. We're going to do a little study of this story because it's so gnarly, right? We're going to hold up faith and say, all right, faith is going to get us, where's our faith? How do we cultivate a sense of faith? How's it going to get us unstuck? And then we come across on the second day of Rosh Hashanah this incredibly morally confusing. It just can be confusing. It can be, it leaves us aghast in issues around faith. And so there's a lot here, and the tradition has a lot to say. So we'll spend about 20 or so more minutes looking at it. All right, but the first is we don't need source sheets, but I want to do just a brief summary of what the story is. But I need some audience participation. All right, we'll wake you guys up, right? If we need to, we'll blow the shofar again. So, anybody want to run through the basic summary of what happens? Kathy? All right. Well, we can have it in a couple. We can do it in a couple different people. Anybody? Anybody else want to help Kathy? Josh? All right, come here. Come on. Yeah, you can come. All right.
Man, it's been a while. So what were we just talking about the story of Abraham, right?
Not just Abraham and the binding of the sacrifice of Isaac.
Hello, everybody. I'm Josh. I kind of love this portion, but the part that I like, and I don't know if that's the part that you want to talk about, the summary. What I believe is that Abraham, everybody kind of knows the story of him, but what I feel what happened is that he built this kingdom and this community and this village on his beliefs, which were the one God, and not sacrificing children, not sacrificing any kids. And he went through, or am I going too far back?
No, focus on what happens.
Okay.
Remember?
All right, so I guess what happened and what I guess we're going to talk about is that he went up to God told him after hundreds of years of trying to have a child, he finally had his second child, which was Isaac. He had a first one with his housekeeper, and he had his second child, and God told him, even though your whole name and your whole faith and everything is built on not sacrificing children, and that's what this community loves you for, I want you to sacrifice your child, to go up to the hill and sacrifice Isaac. So Abraham, even though that's against everything he believed in, he had such faith in God, he said, okay, let's go up the hill and sacrifice Isaac. And so he went up the hill, and now this is where I get kind of cloudy, right? I don't know why you're sitting down. You need to stand up because you're about to take over. Okay, well, stand up and stand next to me. So it's been years. So then he goes up the hill to sacrifice Isaac, and he binds him to this altar.
Right.
And he raises the knife, and he goes to sacrifice him, and then God says, stop, sacrifice this ram instead. Right? And that's it.
You got it.
Is that it? All right.
Right there, look at that, right? Unscripted. Right, so Josh hits many of the key points, right? Abraham, this man of faith, this epitome for the forefather of the Jewish people, man of faith and man known of great kindness, who listens to God's call and, one second, listens to God's call and goes, right, lech lecha, go, leave, go to a place that I'm not going to tell you where you're going, just go. And he sets up camp, has trouble having kids, eventually gets the kid that he wants, and God has another call for him, just as Josh said. Take the kid, your son, put him up on the mountain, and go sacrifice him. So and that's exactly what happens. Harmon, what were you thinking? Yes. Yeah. There's a couple more. There's a couple more spiritual awakenings. So there's great debate. What was the failure? Was it a failure not to oppose God, not to resist the call to sacrifice his kid? Or was it a failure not to go through with it? Right? There's lots of different perspectives, right? None of them end up feeling correct. Wait, hold on. Someone, you're good? Okay. Mm-hmm. So this is also right. Mm-hmm. 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 All indications, right? Right, like literally at the moment, blade raised, right? Kid bound up, tied down. Mm-hmm. How much they, right? On some level, you have to imagine they they were in opposition to every moral fiber in his body. He still knew that there was some truth. Like there was, all right, I'm committed. I'm. This is what I'm being told. I will surrender and take the next action that seemingly this higher power is telling me, even though it flies in the face of everything else that I stand for. Right. Kathy. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So this is right. So this is the same dude, right? Who has, like, we know there's several instances where he's a prolific negotiator, right? Both with with strangers and at times with God even, right? He vouches and tries to negotiate down the harsh decree of the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah on the behalf of potential innocents, strangers that he has no idea about, but just in principle. And yet, in this situation, in this circumstance with the sacrifice of Isaac, nothing, just what, like, pure surrender. Ari, and then Josh, and we'll go over here and over there. Okay. Mm-hmm. Right. So right there's lots of I have heard and I've studied lots of perspectives, right? Not just of Abraham. The focus seems to be on him often, but right, Yitzhak. So the son, Isaac, right, is a character in here, and whether how much is he complicit? How much of a victim was he? What exactly his age is? We know that he's not a baby. There's anywhere ranges from 17 to age 37, so he's somewhat of an adult. And right, like what else is going on here? Right, it's a good point, Ari. Here. Uh-huh. Maybe even older. Mhm. So we know we don't have time to look at the text exactly, but we know that he questions what's going on at several points along the journey. he's not completely like being led as as an innocent sheep. He's like, hey, where's, like, I see that you have an axe or a blade and wood. Right, what's going on here? And Abraham kind of mumbles something, right, that maybe placates him, maybe only raises his yeah. Yeah, that's our assumption. So, right, all deeply troubling. Wait, over here. Yeah, the knife. Right, right. Understanding, like, parents, God, right? What you're supposed to, what a spiritual connection is. What kind of God are you supposed to be in connection with? So right. If Simon, are you? So right. It's even more, it only builds up the meaning of what the potential sacrifice, of what the action is. So we know that, go ahead. Mm-hmm. Priority. Mm-hmm. Right, yeah, he exiles them, right? Sends them off to die, effectively. Right, the one that we know God had said is special, right? And we're told will be the seed, will be the lineage of which a great nation will come forth. Uh-huh. Right, we got crickets here. All right, go ahead. Mm-hmm. Wait, sorry, I didn't hear the last part. What was the last line you said? Yeah, it's seemingly one of the greatest sacrifices that one can make, the greatest loss that he's going to experience. Okay, Josh, last one, and then I want to. What's that? Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm. Right. It does. It's trying to harmonize some really trying to hold a thread of integrity, but across some really challenging. Ah, all right. So he was he was so strong in his interest of taking care of others, or on principle, right? That he was. It's an interesting take. I can go with that. Hold on, wait. Yeah. This was going to end right. This was very much so. Okay, I wanna move on because there was a really key teaching for me that I want to share. So just to kind of round out the story. So right as he lifts up the blade, and you can imagine Isaac is looking up, however old he is, like this is the moment, and we hear where'd it go? I'll read it exactly. It says, Abraham picked up the knife to slay his son. Then an angel of the Lord called to him from heaven, Abraham, Abraham. And he answered, Hineni, here I am. And he said, do not raise your hand against the boy or do anything to him. For now I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your son, your favored one, from me. When Abraham looked up, his eye fell upon a ram, as Josh said, caught in the thicket by its horns. So Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up as a burnt offering in place of his son. Abraham named the site Adonai Yireh, where the present saying is, on the mount of the Lord there's a vision. The angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time from heaven and said, by myself I swear, the Lord declares, because you have done this, you have not withheld your son, your favored son. I will bestow my blessing upon you and make your descendants as numerous as the stars of heaven and the sands of the sea. Your descendants shall seize the gates of their foes. All the nations of the earth shall bless them themselves by your descendants, because you have obeyed my command. Abraham then returned to his servants, and they departed together for Beersheba. Abraham stayed in Beersheba. Okay. That's kind of the wrap-up of this section. So there was a famous Hasidic rabbi, Menachem Mendel of Kutz, known as the Kutzker Rebbe, said that he once asked his students, after studying this whole episode, what do they think the toughest part, or some of the tough, how do they, if you segment the journey out, which part was maybe the toughest part for Abraham of this whole ordeal? So he said, could it have been the calling, like the initial ask, getting called to do something that seems so oppositional to everything that you think you stand for? It says, is it actually the walking up, right? All the fear and the anxiety of what is going on here? And yet here I am, step by step, I'm walking towards it. Said a third point was the actual doing the deed, right? Or maybe the fourth part was the walk down. Right? Right? The walk down. And then and onward. And so one, I want to lift up because, right, we all have moments. This is a community that's constantly encounters trying to have a sensitivity to being called to something different in our lives. That call oftentimes is in opposition to what we're doing in the present, or at least what part of us is doing in the present, and seems pretty much at odds, or oftentimes as a contrary action to what we are trying to do. All right, so we have familiarity with a call. Whether we answer it or whether we pick up the phone or not is a different story, but we get called a lot. Right, so we know what it's like to get called. We know what it's like to trudge up a mountain. We also know that we have to face choices to actually execute something that we need to do. And then there's the backside. There's, right, the walk down or the walk after that. So that kind of arc, I think, is very relevant to this community. It's very relevant to those that are walking or seeking or navigating a spiritual path. But I'm curious, so I want to hear, because I imagine there's not uniformity in what people think is the toughest part. Jerome. Thank you. And I'm glad that you continue to take those steps. So I will share what the Kutzker, what his view was, but I want to hear some more other thoughts. Ari. Right. Can you imagine, literally walk down? So interestingly, the text says it's not clear if Abraham and Isaac ever speak again. which is not surprising after your dad tries to kill you. but it's not clear. And we see both in later stories about Isaac, the tradition interprets aspects of his personality and connect it to such a traumatic event like this and what the impact potentially was. But right, like but there was a walk. They were together. They had some time again, both encountering each other and encountering, their own the baggage that resulted. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No. It says that's what I tried to focus on. As he was going to kill, this angel cried out and said, "Hold on, like here's the ram. Here's the ram, or hold on, don't do it." And then this ram appeared, and he swapped out the ram for his son.
So he came down the hill, and I can picture him feeling pretty righteous. He really held firm to his conviction against a huge test. And I can also see a sense in there. This is the loyalty of my father is really to his God and not to me.
Right, he's got some pretty mixed up potential.
Isaac's relationship to God.
Mm-hmm.
Isaac was the fall guy.
Right. He was the victim. Right. Such confusing. Right. You can imagine where, right, we can validate that we have a tradition of very dysfunctional family dynamics in the least. Yeah, I would think like each phase there's is material for growth, is a material for challenge. Right? This is all seen as a test of faith. So this is all seen as a test. I actually and like personally, I don't know if you can. It's really, I don't have a clear answer. That one part of it is like trumps the other. I think that they're depending on the situation. I mean, they're all brutal. All like each part seems excruciating in some ways. Michael. Hmm. It's true. It can be. Mm-hmm. Can be. Though I know certainly at even after making some decisions in my own life, the ambivalence can be quite strong. But yes, yeah. Who else? Who's back there? Who is it? Hello. So it's a way, maybe not directly, but also indirectly, a sensitivity about the world in which he was living and the neighbors and the contrasting cultures that he was up against. Interesting. I hadn't thought about that. That's interesting. Harry. It's an important point, right? And I think that, one, I appreciate the willingness of the Torah to put that out there, right? We don't have a tradition where the heroes are the heroes, and we think, at least what's presented, is that everything is, copathetic, inside and out. But they're flawed. They're flawed systems, they're flawed characters, they're flawed situations. And yet, that's maybe where the wisdom and the connection comes in too, right? To help guide us. Two more, and then we got to wrap up. Yeah, go ahead. And why today? Why on Rosh Hashanah? Right? Right. Right. Why, what? Right. What's right? There's some very intentional placement. Right. We're going to read this in a couple weeks, in about a month or two, in the normal reading of the cycle, right? As we begin the book of Genesis. But they bring it back here, so you hit it twice at least, right? There's some deep, and it doesn't have it's not a clear. For me, there's not a clear answer. I think that there's something to be said about how murky, right, and reflective of the murkiness of life, the murkiness of our own internal of our internal selves, and maybe our family structures, and yet there's something here to help keep us moving forward, because he does clearly have to go down the mountain. He can't sit on top of the mountain, right? He can't undo what he did. He has to face it. He has to be in acceptance of it. It does have implications, and yet, right? It even says, right after this in the narrative, right, is when his wife Sarah dies, and there's also a connection that said, or there's a tradition that says, she died because she heard that someone reported back to her that, right, she knew her husband and son were away, that dad tried to kill the boy, maybe put her to a grave. So right. There was deep, lasting implications. Last comment, and then we're going to wrap up. So we can see that maybe there are some lessons learned in each progressive generation. They do repeat some of the patterns, right? There is favoritism, there is deception amongst from parent to child, amongst siblings, but we can also see that maybe there's some learning that happens based on the experience, certainly the impact that it has. So the Kutzker Rebbe thought that, much like Harmon and others and Harry, that the hardest part was the walk down, and both recognizing that we have peak, both in the symbolism of what peak moments are, and then what we need to do to maintain our commitment to what we learned in peak moments, but also being an acceptance that the peak moments aren't necessarily high points, but actually quite low points, and needing to stay also in acceptance and not denial or rationalization, but stand in truth of them and march forward on a step-by-step basis. It really defines us and defines our life more than oftentimes we give credit for. And I think that this is a community that knows this, is we have folks that continue to put together one day at a time that leads to weeks, months, years, and longer of a change in course. And understanding both the difficulty of that, but also the opportunity in those walks down. All right, L'Shana Tova.
We're so lucky to have so many wonderful teachers in this room. And just like we shared on Erev Rosh Hashanah, there's so much learning to happen. So I'm going to call up Marty, who's our rabbinic intern, going to do some sharing with us. And just to let you know a little bit more about the rest of our service, we're going to have Marty share. We're going to do a couple more songs. We're going to have another rabbinic intern share. And then we're going to wrap up. Just want to give you a little overview. Hang in there. We're doing great.
Thank you. Shana Tova. I just want to introduce myself to all of you and those of you I haven't met in person. I'm Marty. I'm feeling very grateful to have met so many incredible people here in just such a short time, and also lots of handshakes, lots of smiles, and thank you for that. I want to talk about the pressure of being perfect, the pressure of feeling like a failure, and the pressure of the new year, to reflect on all that. Sometimes when I think about time and keeping track of time, as annoying as it is and how also elusive it is, I wonder, why? What's the point if we're always here? What's significant about marking a new cycle? So, in thinking about that space between perfection and failure, I think about this concept of the Benyoni that the Lubavitcher, the Chabad founder, Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi, talks about this characteristic of being aware of the potential and the repetitive failings of being human, and also a willingness to look towards something different. So it's someplace between what they would call the Rasha, the person who knows what they should do for themselves but does the opposite, and the Tzaddik, who is pretty much unattainable for everyone, except for those rare Tzaddikim who are floating around wherever they are somewhere. So he talks about the Benyoni. The Benyoni is, sorry, my bad. The Benyoni's mode is the measure of every person. I've never actually used a microphone or been at a podium, so This is, there we go. It's like, how do you read the book and actually look into the thing? Okay. Maybe I'll try from below. Okay. Hello? All right, here we go. The Benyonese mode is the measure of every person. Let everyone aspire to it, for anyone can become a Benyoni at any time. The Benyoni does not abominate evil altogether, for this is a matter of the heart and not the same all of the time. But to forsake evil and do good in actual behavior, deed, word, and thought is something given to human choice. For even when the heart covets and craves a physical passion, whether permitted or forbidden, one can prevail over it with one's willpower and say to the heart, I do not desire to be a Rasha even for one moment. For under no condition do I wish to be severed and separated from God. So another Zalman rabbi, one of my favorites, Zalman Schachter Shlomi, comments about this and says that there aren't too many Benyonim out there. But what does it actually mean to be a Benyoni? If I had to put it in AA terms, we are all recovering Rashas. We're all Rishoim in recovery. Even when we don't act out, it's still a one-day-at-a-time affair. And we know how true that is here. Every day, time is elusive, and just like the foundation of the Torah, the foundation of the Jewish tradition, the Hebrew language, biblical Hebrew, has no future tense. It only has past and present. When we describe our future actions, the verbs are statements of doing. I'm here today. I am present tomorrow. I am not perfect or righteous today, but I am here to be present tomorrow. So I'm on kind of a short little time frame here, but I just want to ask anybody if what it might feel like to be in between present and future if there's no future, if they're linked. Great.
Future's imaginary, and that can be useful maybe or not useful maybe. It's interesting. I didn't realize people didn't have that. Someone said last night, Rabbi, that man plans and God laughs. We don't know the future. It's totally delusional. We have present. We are present. We can be present in this moment. It's the only real. And we can behave into a wish-for future by what we do right now. We have no ability to mold our future. We can act in our present.
Okay. Yes. Yes, that makes me think about what Chaplain Adam was just talking about. Abraham hearing voices in his head and then going to kill his son, but not thinking about the future and needing a divine intervention to check him back into what is a righteous act in the moment, right? I'm about to finish up, but I just want to read one more quick thing from It's About Time. It's from Ram Dass's Be Here Now. He says, at this moment, if you set the alarm to get up at 3:47 this morning, then your alarm rings, and you get up, you turn it off, and you say, what time is it? You'd say, now. Now where am I? I'm here. Then you go back to sleep. You get up at 9 tomorrow. Where am I? Here. What time is it? It's now. Try 4:32, 3 weeks from next Thursday. By God, it is. There is no getting away from it. That's just the way it is. That's the eternal present. You finally figure out that it's only the clock that's going around. It's doing the thing, but you're sitting here right now, always. Shana Tova. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay.
All right, so we're going to continue with Nate. And we're going to go in with Avinu Malkeinu. And we're going to rock the house down a little bit. We're going to... Oh, amazing.
So we're going to do Avinu Malkeinu, and then we're going to do a shofar service.
Great. Awesome. We're going to do Avinu Malkeinu. We're going to do shofar. We're going to eat some apples and honey. Great. So we're on page 184. Please rise.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu Vanenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu Vanenu, Ki ein banu masim. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed ve'hoshienu. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed ve'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu Vanenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu Vanenu, Ki ein banu masim. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed ve'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu Vanenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu Vanenu, Ki ein banu masim.
So traditionally, here is where we would, you may be seated. Traditionally is where we would read the Unatana Tokef. And like we mentioned earlier, Unatana Tokef imagines that God is on a throne. First of all, God is male. Second of all, God is a king. Third of all, God is sitting and judging all of us. And it's very scary to think about all of these concepts. Ugh, God has a gender. Ugh, God is like royalty. Oh, wow, God is judging me. And it really captures the uncertainty of life, that sometimes we have no idea what's going to happen. We have no idea who is going to die this year, who is going to be in a natural disaster like we're seeing right now? Who is going to die from cancer? Who is going to die from an overdose? We simply don't know, and so there's that desperation there. But when we introduce the idea of God judging us, we can't help but think, then why am I here in synagogue? If this is all decided, then what the hell are we doing here? Why are we sitting in this chair? Why are we spending all of this time praying? Why am I doing teshuvah at all? And like we mentioned before, our tradition actually encourages us to challenge that idea, to challenge the idea that God is playing puppet master. Our tradition teaches us that we have the right to argue with God, that we don't have to accept these messages that are in the Siddur or our teachers tell us. We get to define what's meaningful. And Admel Kosman is an Israeli poet, and he's rewritten the Tanatokef. And so he affronts God, and he says, and just how are you looking down? How are you going to determine us? He takes back agency, and we're reminded of Abraham earlier in Sodom and Gomorrah. We're reminded of Job saying, God, why are you doing this? We're reminded of Moses who says, I know they were worshiping the golden calf and you want to kill them. Please don't. And so we take agency of our lives and our faith through prayer. Rav Nachman of Breslov taught that prayer is an act of daring. Praying is directed towards the essence of changing the world. And prayer is actually a request for God to change God's self. We are asking God to change their mind about what's going to happen. And through this spiritual lens, our prayers and actions are honored. So that's why we are here today, to ask God to change God's self so that we have the capacity to change. As an intro to our shofar service, I'm going to invite up our intern, Carrie. No, we don't have time. No, we're adjusting for time.
We're gonna do the shofar before.
Oh, we are?
Because that's how.
Disregard. Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
Shana Tova. I just want to echo the words of my classmate Marty about how grateful and humbled I am to be one of the interns this year. And I hope if I haven't met you yet that I will get a chance to meet everyone in the coming weeks and months. We are about to experience one of the aspects of the Rosh Hashanah service that I always find among the most moving and meaningful, the sound of the shofar. The shofar's powerful, even primal sound always seems to shake me to my core. When we hear it, we know that it's meant to wake us up. It's meant to make us pay attention to life, to each other, and to ourselves. But I want to talk about what happens after the shofar blasts, that moment of silence that follows. That silence is just as important, although we don't often notice it. We live in a world that's loud. We are constantly bombarded by noise of one type or another all the time. An endless stream of notifications on our phone, the constant chatter of daily life, or just the feeling that we must be always doing something. And that can be really exhausting. And then once a year, we gather on Rosh Hashanah and the shofar sounds. For just a few moments, the sound of shofar slices through all that noise of life around us. It forces us to pause, and it jolts us awake. And we need that, we really do. But it's the quiet that follows where the real reflection, I think, begins. So consider this. How often do we get real silence these days? True moments to pause, to breathe, and to just be. The shofar gives us that moment. It gives us space to listen to ourselves and to our own hearts. And that is hard because silence can really feel very uncomfortable. It can force us to face things we've been pushing away, things we've been too busy or distracted to really think about. And yet, in that uncomfortable stillness, there's also an opportunity. That silence is where growth starts. It's where we give ourselves permission to be vulnerable and to admit where we've fallen short. But it also gives us space to recognize where we've succeeded. And it's where we find the courage to begin again. So today, when the shofar sounds, listen to the blast. But even more importantly, listen to the silence that follows it. Don't rush past it. Sit with it. Let it be a space where you can reflect on your life, your relationships, and on the person you want to be in this new year. May this be a good year, a year of growth, and a year of moments where noise fades and allows us to truly hear the whispers of our hearts.
We're going to invite Ori up. Ori is our shofar blower. And so for the shofar, we ask you to rise.
Yeah. Okay. Who wants to come hold the Torah?
Sam, come on. Three
Chris.
strapping
Chris, come
lads.
up.
Chris, come on.
You'll be okay.
All right, Josh, come on. All right, we're going to say the blessing. You and me together, Ori, I'll help you out. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lishmoa kol shofar.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו והגיענו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Tekiah Shivarim Trua Tekiah. Yeah, go keep going. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shivarim Trua. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shivarim Trua. You got this.
Take a breath. You got it. Get it a little. Got it.
You got this. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shivarim. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shivarim. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shivarim. Tekiah. Tekiah. Teruah. Tekiah. Tekiah. Teruah. Tekiah. Tekiah. Chirua. Tekiah Gedolah.
On the left, on the left. I know, but that's where we put the. It's cool, I just work here. It's okay. Yeah. It's good, don't worry.
All right. You may be seated.
What's next? We're not doing this then?
Ran out of time. Adam went very long.
So we're not doing
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, because that was page 248.
Right, we switched up the order a little bit. So we're going to do Unatana Tokef right now, what Rabbi Jade introduced a little bit earlier. Take it away, 282.
תינשא מלכותך וייכון בחסד כיסאך ותשב עליו באמת 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 אמת כי אתה הוא דיין ומוכיח אמת ויודע בעת מרותם וחותם וסופר ומונה מרותם וחותם מסופר ומונה ותזכור ותזכור כל הנשכחות ותפתח את ספר הזיכרונות ומאליו יקרא וכל תם יד כל אדם בו וכל תם יד כל אדם בו ובשופר דקו יתקע בקול דממה דקה יישמע ומלאכים יחפשון וגילו רעדה יוחזון ומלאכים יחפשון וגילו רעדה יוחזון ויאמרו הנה יום הדין לפקוד על צבא מרום בדין בדין
Maron Badin Badin Kilo Yismo Venecha Badin V'cho Ba'e Olam Ta'avir Lefanecha Kivne Maron V'cho Ba'e Olam Ta'avir Lefanecha Kivne Maron.
Yeah. I'm going to read the English of what Cantor Nate's going to read, sing, thank God, sing, for the rest of for the Rosh Hashanah part. On Rosh Hashanah it is written, and on Yom Kippur it is sealed. How many shall leave this world? How many shall be born? Who shall live? Who shall die? Who in the fullness of years, and who before? Who shall perish by fire? Who by water? Who by sword? And who by wild beast? Who by famine? Who by thirst? Who by earthquake? And who by plague? Who by strangling? And who by stoning? Who shall rest? And who shall wander? Who shall be serene? And who shall be disturbed? Who shall be at ease? And who shall be afflicted? Who shall be impoverished? And who enriched? Who shall be humbled? And who exalted? But tshuva, tefillah, and deeds of kindness can remove the severity of the decree. Page 285.
Rosh Hashanah yikatevun yikatevun Uviyom tzom kippur yechatemun yechatemun Rosh Hashanah yikatevun yikatevun Uviyom tzom kippur yechatemun yechatemun Berosh Hashanah yigarevon Ubeyom tzom kippur yechatemun Kama yavorun vechama yibareun Rosh Hashanah yikatevun Uviyom tzom kippur yechatemun yechatemun Rosh Hashanah yikatevun Uviyom tzom kippur yechatemun yechatemun Mi yeh mi amut mi vekitzo umi lo vekitzo mi va'esh umi va'mayim v'mi va'cherev umi va'chaya mi va'ra'av umi va'tzama mi va'ash umi va'magefa mi va'chanika umi va'skila Rosh Hashanah
ייכתבון, ייכתבון, וביום צום כיפור ייחתמון, ייחתמון. בראש השנה ייכתבון, ייכתבון, וביום צום כיפור ייחתמון, ייחתמון. מי אני ומי ישיר, מי יושפל ומי ירום. וצדקה ותפילה ותשובה מעבירין את רוע גזירה.
I think during Chaplain Adams' teaching, there was a question about where's the compassionate God, right? There was an authoritarian God in the Akedah and the binding of Isaac. Where's the compassionate God? This is the God that we are seeking right now. And the answer to this is we offer praises to you, for you are slow to anger, ready to forgive. You don't wish that the sinner die, but rather you would have the sinner repent and live. And so may that ask for all of us, let us turn to that compassion and forgiveness that our God is inviting us to and our tradition is inviting us to for this day in Yom Kippur. We're going to continue with the Aleinu on page 304. We invite everybody to rise who is able.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יחיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. You may be seated.
You can have a seat. It's the time where we remember those who have departed, the lives of those who we lost this year, and a special sincere condolence to Ronnie Kahn, who, on the loss of his wonderful wife Barbara this past week, and those we've lost this year: William F. Besser, Aurea Clark, Jake Schneider, Mitch Hodesh, David Hansen, Asher Barkin, Everett James, Rabbi Yossi Caron, Susan Gesundheit, Harvey Weiner, Josephine Plata Villarreal, Sarah Wilshinsky, Stuart Lautman, Peter Bergman, Danica Valencia, Constance Ross Landis, Isabel New, Edwin M. Greenberg, Patricia Page, Jean Geller, Sherry Cup Holland, Mark Wiseman, Philip Arbate, Barbara Ann Horwitz, Harold Rothstein, Dolores Aguirre Avina, Dana Gold, Frederick Bernstein, Jerry Lauderstein, Victoria Katrik, Minerva Cravoy, Raya Stern, Beverly Horwitz, Bernard Bagish, Matthew Jaffe, William Spector, Tracy Friedman, Michelle Rocklin. And for those commemorating Yortzites this week, Barbara Braun, Barbara Auerbach, Anna Simone, Horace Kramer, Isabel Rosenthal, William Osterman, Rivka Zudewick, Stacy Schiefwitz, Sylvia Kosnin, Janet Glick, Jeffrey Tamayo, Hope Rosen, Sally Wolf LaBelle, Phyllis Siegel, Elaine Breslow, Marvin Isaacson, David Ruderman, Nathan Esformas, and Ronnie Stabler. Invite those who are commemorating your site to please rise, and as I come around to say the name again, nobody stands alone in our community, so if you see somebody standing alone, please go ahead and stand next to them, put your arm around. Barbara Kahn. Thank you. Come on. Matthew Carey. Mornis Kaddish, Kaddish Tom is up on the screen. Yitz Gadal, Vitz Gadash, Shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divarach irute ve'amlich malchute. B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'vizman kari v'imru. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'ishtabach v'itba'ar v'itramam v'itnaseh. V'itadar v'itale v'italal Shemei dekudsha. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Oseh shalom b'imramav huya aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the memories of those who have departed be remembered for a blessing. Let us say amen. You can have a seat. Just a couple of quick announcements. No services today, right? Tonight? Instead, we're doing
Going to the beach.
Tashlich at the beach. Start time 5:45. Lifeguard towered at 17. Right up there, Will Rogers Park. And Nate, you said what?
A little Kabbalat Shabbat, a little Shabbat moment, as well as doing Tashlich
So-
and all the high holiday happenings.
Don't come here.
Don't come here. Go
Okay.
to the beach.
Go to the
5:45.
yes, 5:45. Wear something warm.
Yes.
Lifeguard Tower 17 for the third time.
That's
Rosh
a good-
Hashanah, we've done that. Kol Nidre is, oh my goodness, a week away. So 7 p.m. here, October 11th, and then Yom Kippur, the whole day we're here. Gratitude at 2?
Yes.
Gratitude at 2, led by, I don't know if it's, I heard. Okay, maybe not. Okay, it's going to be led by somebody, and we're going to be very grateful for that person. And so come, it's going to be amazing.
We do
I'll be
have
here.
services on Saturday morning. Sam asked. That was a good question. We will have Shabbos morning service tomorrow morning.
Amazing.
I will be here.
Okay, and lastly, alumni picnic. You guys can all read October 26th. At least I hope you can all read. 10 a.m. to 3 at Veterans Memorial Park, Overland and Culver. Thank you, everybody. Cantor,
Thank you, Rabbi Joseph. Thank you.
Rabbi Jade.
Thank you so much.
for all of those giving some drushes, intern Marty, intern Carrie, Chaplain Adam, our band.
Stuart, yeah.
A one-hit band, one-man band. Uri for blowing the shofar. Our crew in the back and in the sound machine, however that works, I don't understand. Makes the magic happen, right?
Makes the magic happen.
All right. And I think I just want to say lastly, October 7th is just around the corner, and the remaining 100+ hostages that are still in captivity, may they come home safely, securely, alive, with dignity, speedily, and may there be peace in this region very soon. Amen. Okay, we'll say shalom to close. You have anything?
Say shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Shana Tova, everybody.
Let's have peace. Let's have peace. Shana Tova, everyone.
Sweet New Year.
Let's rise for 2 more prayers, and then let's get some rest before we go down to the beach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Manifest. There's apples and honey. Everybody have a sweet
Have
New
a sweet
Year.
New Year.